is Marc, Katz, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women and your personal trainer for love. Welcome back to the Love You podcast, where I will teach you everything you need to know about dating, relationships, sex, and men from a man's point of view so that you could understand men and find love. I want to dive in really quickly today and make the unpopular suggestion that you may be overestimating yourself when it comes to relationships and talk about the consequence of it. Now, listen, that's never a popular stance to suggest that you're overestimating yourself. We all need to overestimate ourselves to some degree and carry ourselves with some sort of willful delusion. I do this as if I have something important to say, when the truth is anybody could do this. So we all need to look at the glass half full when it comes to dating and relationships. But I think that there's a fine line between healthy self-esteem and where that healthy self-esteem seems to slip and cause us to overestimate ourselves and be single. And I say this from a very personal place. I'll get into that a little bit later. I want to begin first with the definition of a catch. What is a catch? What do you consider a catch? What do you think men consider a catch? Well, I've been at this game long enough to know that women, in general, value men who are tall. They value men who are financially successful. They value men who are educated. They value men who are charismatic. They value men who are fit. They value men who are funny. Am I getting anywhere so far? And there's plenty of other things to value. You could value someone because you share the same religious values. You could value someone because you both like skiing. There's lots of reasons to be attracted to a partner and choose a partner. But usually when we talk about the definition of a catch, you're going to go with tall, dark, handsome, funny, rich, whatever. And no one's arguing with your perception of what a catch is. What's men's definition of a catch? I think you're going to get obviously a very different story when you ask guys what a catch is to them. I think a lot of guys just kind of stay in the shallow end. Young, thin, pretty is a catch. I think men will value someone who's fun and easygoing and nurturing and supportive. So that's what men value as a catch. In general, right? Again, there's always exceptions, which is, this is not to say that men don't value intelligence or also value someone who likes skiing or someone who is financially independent and can bring a lot to the table there. So making broad generalizations about what men and women find to be a catch. The question is, do either of these definitions actually equal a catch? No, they do not. Right? And that's usually where this whole thing goes awry, because there's nothing that says tall, dark, handsome, funny, rich makes for a better husband. In fact, may even be work opposite. Right? And there's nothing to say that a woman who has some of the according qualities is necessarily a catch. Right? Young, thin, pretty doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a good partner. It just makes you young, thin, and pretty. And so this is where we get into some tricky territory. It's where we misdiagnose who would be a great partner based on attraction. If you're attracted to tall, dark, handsome, rich, funny, and he's attracted to young, thin, pretty, and we continue to chase those things because, well, we can't help what we're attracted to, well, it explains a lot of why relationships are so tricky, why we dive into things based on attraction and discover that attraction is not necessarily enough to sustain things. So let's be really clear about that. Being hot in the eyes of the opposite sex, whatever hot means, gives you a lot of options for dating. That is true. But everybody knows the story. Every man has gone out with a woman who said, she's hot but, right? Hot and crazy, hot and difficult, hot and critical. Right? So hot, attractive to men will only get you so far. Right? And I hope if you're a woman of self-esteem that just because a guy is cute, successful, and charismatic, but he treats you poorly and he's verbally abusive and he's non-committal, that doesn't mean he's a good partner that you should stay with forever. All of the folks who are relationship nightmares, right? We're talking on the same plane. I'm assuming you're a good person who's mentally stable and has a lot to offer as a partner. If you've ever dated a nightmare partner, you were probably really attracted to that person, right? And that person probably thinks that they're a good catch, right? And from the eyes of others, they may be a good catch in that they could always find someone else to seduce. But that doesn't mean you actually want to catch them, right? Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. You don't always want the person that you value the most. Right? The 6-foot guy is not necessarily a better boyfriend than the 5'7" guy, right? And the multimillionaire is not necessarily a better boyfriend than the guy who makes $60,000 a year. Right? He's just more attractive. He might just have more. Ultimately, we want people to stick around. We want people to want to be with us. We want to be good relationship partners. And being a good relationship partner is not based on any of the, for the most part, any of the qualities that you seem to value the most in men. The best relationship partners are the ones who make you feel safe, heard, and understood. The ones who are sensitive to your emotional needs. The ones who help out with the housework and child rearing. I'm pretty sure you've never looked at a Tinder profile and said, I bet this guy helps out with the housework and child rearing. I bet he's really sensitive to my emotional needs. No, you see someone who's cute, you swipe right, and there you are. Right? We're chasing attraction. So when we talk about overestimating yourself, this is not to say that there's not value to having a PhD or having a second home in Aspen. There's value, but it's not relationship value. Right? And when we conflate those two things, I'm an impressive person for I'm a good partner, we're really doing ourselves a disservice. We're not looking at reality because there's tons of people who are attractive who are terrible partners. This isn't necessarily the way I wanted to pivot, but it's an example. 8-9 years ago, I was out watching Lori Gottlieb speak. Lori Gottlieb is a friend of mine. She wrote the book Marry Him, The Case for Settling for Mr. Goodenough. Very bright, very talented, and a very old friend of mine. I've known her for 15 years. And I was watching her speak that night, and I introduced her to my new fiance. And then she wrote her big book. I helped her, coached her while writing that big book. And I read what she wrote about that night in her book. I should have brought the book. Maybe I'll do that another time. And she described the night that she met my fiance. And let's just say she was thoroughly underwhelmed at the way she described her. She was average. She wasn't especially pretty or especially smart or especially accomplished or especially funny. And it got into her head. Why would a guy that I value, right? And again, this is not to pat myself on the back, but she thinks I'm an impressive, worthy person because of my educational background and my accomplishments. Why would a guy like that choose a woman like that? And that's when it sort of hit her like a ton of bricks. When we come back, I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to explain to you how I'm not immune to the exact same thing, overestimating yourself in the pursuit of love. And I'm going to tell you what you can do as a smart, strong, successful woman to sort of overcome this and get the love that you deserve. This is the Love You Podcast. I'm Marc Katz. We'll be back right after this.